This presentation is on Edgar Allan Poe's short story, The Fall of the House of Usher. Summary of The Fall of the House of Usher. In the story, at the request of Roderick Usher, the narrator visits his childhood friend, Roderick, finding him suffering physically and emotionally from what seems to be a sickness spread through the murky water and mysterious glow surrounding his decaying estate, which is causing him to have heightened senses and an irrational fear of his home. Roderick explains that his family has never flourished and that only one member of the Usher family has survived per generation, meaning they have only one linear line of descent without any outside branches. The narrator tries to cheer Roderick up by reading him stories and listening to him play the guitar, but nothing seems to work. While the narrator is there, Madeline, Roderick's twin, dies from a rare and mysterious untreatable illness called catalepsy, or the loss of control of her limbs, and Roderick buries her inside the home, fearing the doctors will dig up her for scientific experiment due to the rare illness. One night, Roderick seems especially agitated, so the narrator reads him a medieval tale called Mad Tryst, which Poe actually wrote, but attributed to a made-up author. The narrator notices that he begins hearing sounds paralleled in the story, but ignores them until they become undeniable. He then notices that Roderick is hunched over and mumbling to himself. The narrator listens to him and finds that Roderick has been hearing the sounds for days and believes they have buried Madeline alive and that she is trying to escape. Suddenly, Roderick screams that Madeline is standing behind the door, which blows open and terrifyingly reveals the half-dead Madeline dressed in white and covered with blood. She attacks Roderick, and the narrator, horrified, flees the house of Usher, which crumbles along the crack the narrator had noticed at the beginning of the story and collapses in on itself, ending both itself and the last line of Usher. Analysis of The Fall of the House of Usher. The Fall of the House of Usher is a classic Gothic tale of horror, with its dark and gloomy setting, its emotional intensity, horrifying plot, medieval references, supernatural elements, and creepy doubling. The twins, the reflection of the house in the murky pond surrounding it, and the stories and poems that parallel the plot of the story. As is typical of Poe and the Romantic authors, Poe is more concerned with entertainment and mood than teaching any type of moral or lesson. Poe's philosophy of composition, saying that a story should be short enough to be read in one sitting, and every element of the story should contribute to one unified effect, in this case horror, fits both this story perfectly, as it does The Raven, Annabel Lee, and practically every piece of fiction he wrote. The mood, setting, weather, creepy music, sickness of the twins, terrifying stories, sounds paralleling the Mad Tryst, growing agitation of Roderick, mixing with reality with fantasy, burying Madeline alive and in a tomb, and her subsequent escape, and every other detail in the story help create an intense feeling of horror. The House of Usher is connected with the family almost as if it is a living reflection of their state of being. This is shown through how the front is described to look like a face with a crack down the center of it, paralleling the cracking of Roderick's sanity and health as he and his twin, the last descendants of his sick and incestuous family, are dying off, and in how the house crumbles to the ground just as the twins die. Both the poem, The Haunted Palace, and the story, Mad Tryst, that the narrator reads to Roderick are written by Poe and given fictitious authors, and they both parallel the plot of The Fall of the House of Usher, contributing to the suspense and horror building in the story.